I have never once told a stylist to skip a haircut she wanted to give me, and it cost me 3 years of looking older than I needed to. That's the honest truth. Tonight we're covering 3 haircuts that genuinely take years off your face after 60, and 3 that are quietly adding them, cut by cut, no guessing involved. I researched the best and worst haircuts for women over 60, so you walk into your next salon appointment already knowing exactly what to ask for. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every single week. Part 1. The lob that takes years off, and the blunt bob that adds them. Here's something most women over 60 never hear from their stylist. A blunt, heavy bob that sits stiff at the jawline is one of the fastest ways to age your whole face. And it has nothing to do with your hair color or your skin. It's the shape. A hard, uniform line at the jaw draws a straight horizontal border, right where your face is softening naturally, and it boxes everything in. You've probably seen it happen to a friend. She gets the classic bob, walks out feeling put together, and somehow looks 5 years older than she did with her hair a little longer and looser. It's not her face. It's the cut fighting her face. Here's what actually works instead. Ask your stylist for a soft layered lob, landing right around the collarbone, with face-framing layers that start at the cheekbone. The magic is in that layering. Instead of one hard line boxing your jaw, you get movement that breaks up the horizontal and pulls the eye upward and outward, toward your cheekbones and eyes instead of downward toward your jawline and neck. Say this to your stylist, word for word. I want a lob that hits at my collarbone, with long layers starting at my cheekbone, and I want the ends textured, not blunt. That phrase, textured, not blunt, matters more than almost anything else in this conversation. It tells your stylist to point cut the ends rather than cut them straight across, which is the single biggest difference between a cut that ages you and one that lifts you. There's a reason this specific length works so well after 60. The collarbone is exactly where your neck starts to show its softness, and hair that lands there, with layers moving around it, covers that transition without hiding your face behind a curtain of length. Too short, and you lose the softening effect around the jaw. Too long and blunt, and you get the same boxed-in heaviness as the bob, just with more hair. I think about a woman I met named Colette, 68, who'd worn the same chin-length blunt bob for over a decade because it was easy. She let her stylist talk her into the lob with cheekbone layers, and she told me afterward that 3 separate people at her book club asked if she'd done something to her face. Nobody could name what changed. It wasn't her skin. It wasn't makeup. It was the shape of the cut redirecting exactly where the eye lands first. That's the real result of this fix. People stop registering haircut and start registering she looks well. That distinction is everything. A cut that reads as a cut gets noticed as styling. A cut that reads as bone structure gets noticed as beauty. The lob done with real layering and textured ends does the second one. Now here's the swap, stated plainly. Before, a blunt chin-length bob with a hard horizontal line at the jaw, cut straight across with no layering. After, a collarbone-length lob with layers starting at the cheekbone and textured, point-cut ends. Same amount of hair, in some cases. Completely different message. But the lob isn't the only length decision that's quietly working against so many women right now, and the next one has to do with something almost nobody blames for looking older. Length that's actually too long, not too short. Part 2. The shag that lifts you, and the overgrown long layers that weigh you down. Most women over 60 think longer hair reads as youthful. It's the opposite, and here's why nobody tells you this part. Long, heavy hair without real internal layering pulls down on the whole face through sheer weight and gravity. It flattens the crown, drags at the temples, and the longer it grows past the shoulder without structure, the more it ages the face above it, not the hair itself. You know this look even if you've never named it. A woman with long, straight, one-length hair past her shoulders, and somehow her whole face looks tired even when she isn't. That's weight doing the damage, pulling everything down and flat. The fix here is the modern shag, and it works precisely because it does the opposite of what long hair does. Ask for a shag with heavy layering through the crown and around the face, cut short enough at the top layers to create real lift, with the length kept anywhere from chin to shoulder depending on how much volume you want. This is not the choppy, messy shag of decades past. This is a controlled, textured shape where shorter pieces at the crown physically stand away from the head and create volume, while longer face-framing pieces soften the jaw and cheek. Say this to your stylist. I want a shag with short layers at the crown for lift, and longer layers framing my face, cut with a razor or point cutting technique, so the ends stay soft, not blunt. The crown lift is the part that actually does the anti-aging work here. Volume at the crown elongates the whole face vertically, which visually lifts everything below it, including the eyes, the cheeks, and the jawline. It's an optical trick and it's remarkably effective. There's a reason this shows up as a secret stylists rarely explain out loud. Crown volume isn't about the hair looking bigger. It's about changing the proportion of your face from top to bottom, which is the single most powerful lever a haircut has over how old or young someone reads at a glance. Heavy, flat hair compresses that proportion. Lifted, layered hair expands it. I think of Diane, 64, who'd kept her hair long for her husband for 30 years, straight past her shoulders, one length, no layers. When she finally agreed to the shag, her hairdresser cut nearly 4 inches off the top layers alone, just to build the crown volume. Diane cried in the chair, not from loss but because she said she hadn't seen her own cheekbones look like that since her 40s. Her husband, for the record, loved it more than the long version he'd been protecting for 3 decades. That's the snapback result worth remembering. The haircut she thought would take something away from her actually gave her back a feature she'd been quietly losing under the weight of length. People don't compliment, your hair is shorter. They compliment, you look amazing, without knowing why. That's the shag doing its real work, quietly from the crown down. The swap plainly stated. Before, long one-length hair past the shoulders with no internal layering, flat at the crown and heavy through the ends. After, a layered shag with lift at the crown and soft, face-framing pieces cut to chin or shoulder length. Same amount of hair on her head some days. Completely different face in the mirror. Now there's a haircut that gets recommended to almost every woman over 60 at some point, and it's supposed to be the safe, elegant choice. What nobody mentions is exactly how it can go badly wrong, and what a small change fixes it completely. Part 3. The soft pixie that flatters, and the overcropped pixie that hardens your face. Here's the part about pixie cuts that catches so many women off guard. A pixie itself isn't the problem. It's one of the most flattering cuts available after 60, when it's done correctly. The problem is how often it's cut too short, too uniform, and too close to the scalp, especially around the crown and sides, which creates a harder, more severe look than most women actually want. You've seen this version too. A woman gets a pixie, and instead of looking chic, she looks almost stern, like the cut is doing something to her face rather than for it. That's not the pixie's fault. That's an overcropped pixie, cut too uniformly short everywhere, with no textured length left anywhere to soften the transition from hair to skin. The fix is what stylists call a soft pixie, or textured pixie, and the difference comes down to one specific instruction. Ask for length to be left longer on top, with soft, textured pieces that can be swept to one side or gently tousled, while keeping the sides and back shorter for shape. The top length is what does all the softening work. It gives you movement and a bit of fringe or sweep across the forehead, which breaks up the severity of short hair everywhere else. Say this exact phrase to your stylist. I want a soft pixie, longer on top with texture I can sweep or tousle, and I want the sides and back kept shorter, but not shaved close to the scalp. That last part, not shaved close to the scalp, is the detail most women forget to specify, and it's the one that prevents the overcropped, severe result almost every time. There's a real reason length on top changes everything about how a pixie reads. Short hair everywhere, uniformly, removes every soft transition your face has left, jaw to ear, ear to temple, temple to forehead. Length and texture on top reintroduces movement, and movement reads as youth in a way that uniform shortness simply cannot. I think about Rosalind, 71, who'd asked for a pixie like my daughter's without any other direction, and walked out with hair cropped close on every side. Nothing left to soften anything. She told me she avoided mirrors for 2 weeks. When she went back and asked specifically for length on top with a soft sweep, kept the sides just slightly longer than before, the entire feeling of the cut changed, though barely an inch of hair was added anywhere. That's the snapback moment worth sitting with. It wasn't more hair that fixed it. It was length in exactly the right place, on top, doing the one job short hair everywhere else can't do on its own. Rosalind said her grandchildren stopped commenting on Grandma's new haircut and started saying she looked cool, which at 71, she said mattered to her more than she expected it to. The swap stated exactly. Before, a uniformly short overcropped pixie, sides and back shaved close to the scalp with no length left on top. After, a soft, textured pixie with length preserved on top for sweep and movement, sides kept short but not scalp close. One instruction to your stylist separates these two results completely. There's one more cut left, and it's the one most women assume is completely safe because everyone tells them it hides everything. It doesn't. It's doing something almost nobody has connected to their haircut before. Part 4. The curtain fringe that opens your face, and the heavy, blunt fringe that closes it. Here's the fringe truth nobody says out loud. A heavy, blunt, straight-across fringe, cut low near the eyebrows, is one of the most aging choices a woman over 60 can make, and it's usually recommended for exactly the opposite reason: to hide forehead lines. It does hide them. It also flattens the whole upper face, shortens the visual length of the face, and creates a hard line that draws attention straight to itself instead of to your eyes. You've likely seen a friend do this. She gets a full fringe to cover a few lines, and instead of looking fresher, the fringe becomes the first thing anyone notices, a heavy dark shape sitting low over the brow. The lines she wanted to hide get replaced by a different kind of attention entirely. The fix is the curtain fringe, parted in the center and swept to both sides, with pieces gently grazing past the temples rather than sitting flat across the forehead. This is the single most requested secret fringe in salons right now, and for good reason. It softens the forehead without flattening it, and it draws the eye toward the cheekbones and eyes instead of stopping at a hard line above the brow. The exact phrase to use with your stylist: I want a curtain fringe, parted in the center, longer at the sides so it grazes past my temples, not a full blunt fringe cut straight across. The center part is what makes this work. It creates two soft diagonal lines instead of one hard horizontal one. And diagonal lines read as movement, while horizontal lines read as a stop sign to the eye. This is exactly why the curtain fringe has become the go-to choice stylists quietly recommend over a blunt fringe for anyone over 55, especially over 60. It gives you the same forehead coverage a blunt fringe promises, without the flattening, aging trade-off that comes with it. I met a woman named Colette's neighbor, actually, a woman named Beatrice, 66, who'd worn a heavy blunt fringe for 2 years specifically to hide forehead lines, and felt more self-conscious with it than without it. She switched to a center-parted curtain fringe on her stylist's suggestion, and said the strangest part was that people started commenting on her eyes for the first time in years, not her forehead, not her fringe, her eyes. The lines she'd been hiding were still there. They just weren't the focal point anymore. That's the entire power of this fix. A curtain fringe doesn't erase anything on your forehead. It redirects the entire conversation your face is having with anyone looking at it, away from lines and toward expression. That's a far more valuable trade than simple coverage ever was. The swap plainly stated. Before, a heavy blunt fringe cut straight across, low near the eyebrows, flattening the forehead. After, a center-parted curtain fringe with pieces grazing past the temples, softening the face without hiding it. Small change in the cut. Complete change in what people notice first. For cuts, for swaps, and one thing in common. Every single after version wasn't about adding volume for its own sake or chasing a trend. It was about redirecting exactly where someone's eyes land first when they look at you. You now know the exact 4 swaps that separate a haircut that ages you from one that lifts you. The lob over the blunt bob, the shag over flat length, the soft pixie over the overcropped version, and the curtain fringe over the heavy blunt one. 4 specific phrases you can say in your very next salon chair, and 4 haircuts you can walk away from with confidence instead of guessing. Tell me in the comments, which of these 4 have you already tried, and which one are you booking next? Next week I'm covering the coloring mistakes that quietly work against every one of these cuts, so you don't undo the progress you just made. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.